Did Matt Reeves, the Batman, live up to the hype? Next up on Just the Talk. So let's talk about it. And welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. And I am your humble host, Note 718. And we're going to get into this episode of, this is episode 42 of Just the Talk, where we just drop nothing but conversations. It's not heavily, overly produced. You know what I'm saying? Where we could just really get right to it. You know what I mean? And we could just kind of mix up and talk casually about movies and film rumors, and I could keep it separate from really discussing like direct news. We could actually get into just the talk and what everyone else is talking about. And then special just the talk is, I don't think anyone's talking about the Batman anymore. And it's very interesting and fascinating that even for people, and I don't want to get into this pro Snyderverse thing because you know I'm a pro Snyderverse guy, but I'm very much a fair and honest and balanced person about it, because I'm not a fan of the Justice League and all of that because I'm a fan of Zack Snyder. No. I'm a fan of good movies. That's why I am a fan of Zack Snyder, which is very different. And because of such, I got fascinated in the Snyderverse. But the Batman, which I thought was very interesting, because I would have never thought to go with Ben Affleck. It's so funny. I always was like, Ben Affleck? Ben Affleck? But when they showed him next to the Batmobile, I was like, damn, that's where they going with it? Okay, let's do it. Let's see where this go. And the character was just very fascinating in the first go out. Like BVS, he was so much Batman. Like he really assumed the role, and he made me a believer. And Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, won me over as soon as they showed that woman in the red dress, or the white dress. Actually, when they first showed her at the gala or whatever, I forget which one came first, but damn. And she sold it, even the physicality of it. For such a slim woman to be Wonder Woman, I was very interested in how this would go over, and it went over swimmingly. Like, she made me a believer. Unfortunately, in 84, less needs to be said about 84, but the bottom line was that she did good. But Batman was the centerpiece of conversation. I mean, the warehouse scene to this day is spoken about. I mean, yeah, in the beginning with Matt Reeves, it seemed like people was trying their best to kind of like place this Batman ahead, because it was more about people hating Zack Snyder, but they couldn't deny that he did get Batman right. And when Matt Reeves was coming into it, the anti-Snyderverse fandom, they was really willing to overly push Matt Reeves as the new standard. Whereas if you ask me, if this would have been what we got before Zack Snyder's Justice League, or before Zack Snyder even came to the universe, I think people would have been complaining about this Batman, about him being too emo. Oh, why you gotta have makeup on his eyes? He looks weird though. Oh, my childhood, we never seen that before. I mean, I think people would have made a lot more of a shtick out of that, if you ask me. But the conversation today is why isn't anyone overly talking? Even to this day, people will talk about Ben Affleck's rendition, whether you were for it or against it. He was the centerpiece of conversation. If the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman, was as amazing as everyone says it is, clearly the box office supports it. So this is no, and let's be for real, for me, this is no anti-Matt Reeves club here. I liked the Batman. Really did. He did some things that I was wanted to do. You know, with the makeup and stuff on it. I was like, why don't we just leave that? I had a character that I considered to leave his makeup on when he took his mask off. Real shit. So for me, seeing that, I was like, yo, there's a guy that knows where I'm going with it. But even more so, seeing it in screen, it almost shows his mask again. He is no different than the makeup club that's out there in Gotham City. One in particular, the Joker, which I thought was amazing. And I gotta do a first look at the deleted Joker scene, because I wanted to do one on that, because I've seen some stills. Fascinating direction to go with the Joker, and you'll get my thoughts on that in a little bit. The thing that I really want to impress upon you is that I don't hear people, if they loved Matt Reeves' rendition of it so much, where are all the litany of videos praising every scene and, you know, super dissecting all the multi-layers that he was going through? I don't see it. I don't see people having even as much vitriolic things to say about Matt Reeves' film. Like, I don't see people doing extreme extensive breakdowns to prove, like no one seems to be as invested. It feels like the Batman conversation is kind of done until they do too. No one's really talking about the Batman. We still got people talking about the Snyderverse, and maybe because I'm part of that fandom, if you will, in a way. And when I say in part of, I mean I'm like more like you guys, a spectator. I don't participate like that. Some people are familiar with my brand online that are much more YouTube famous than I am, and this channel is. But at the same time, they don't listen to my shit. Like, at least I don't think so. But even though I was able to grace a panel or two prior, I'm still part of that vibe. So maybe that's why on the street level I could get more information about what's going on in the fandom that we could discuss about as it pertains to Snyderverse information. But I just don't see the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman universe, you know what I mean, conversations. Not really. And it would hit my timeline, I like to think, because I'm a fan of the Matt Reeves Batman. And I'll even go and out of my way to look into it more. Maybe I'm missing something. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not looking at other channels that I used to look at not as much anymore, because I'm kind of paying attention to more channels, I guess, that I don't know, I guess suppose kind of like more into what I'm into, I guess. But at the same time, I listen to everyone, so I don't know. I like to think it would have came across my radar if there was a lot more conversations about the Batman that felt like people had that level of high interest in. Understand me? So for me, it's just interesting that no one's talking as much about it. I just find it weird. You would just think that if it was as amazing as you guys say and it needs an Oscar, that the same amount of effort that you guys put into shitting on the Snyderverse fandom or those people, you would think you would pour in at least the same amount of fandom and interest and intrigue in what Matt Reeves is building, because I think Matt Reeves can build a quite a hell of a universe. I mean, I got certain things that I would have preferred he strayed away from. Like, you didn't have to make Catwoman a Falcone, but I would have stayed away from that. I don't know. I like Catwoman not being tied to any other character that kind of way. You know, but hey, I'm also the same guy that didn't like the fact that really don't like the fact that like Metropolis and Gotham are right across the bay of each other. But you know, the story is their story, so I'll go with it. But that's why I enjoy what I enjoy, because everybody has their rendition of the story and their world and how they want to do world building. And I think that Matt Reeves is setting the stage for something very, very interesting. You know, I hope we get into Batman being a ninja, but needless to say, we'll get into my review. I'm going to get back to reviewing movies again. But I don't see the conversation. I don't see people speculating. I don't see, even with after the Joker scene came up, you would think that there would be a lot of interest in who's going to be the next Joker. And again, I mean, even if we're not, they just dropped the Batman. I get it. So we'll get more information as leaks come. And then they'll stir the pot again. But you would just think that there would be a lot more of the Batman Fellowship. There would be a lot more videos dissecting and even after the Joker thing was leaked, I don't see people doing high discussion about that deleted scene anymore. It just seems to come and go, you know. And I'm gonna pay attention to this because it's something fascinating, because I want to hold people up to the same standards as prior. And if the Matt Reeves, the Batman, is as amazing as people think of, then you will want to see it. It just seems that Ben Affleck's, for better or for worse, because whether you like him or not, he drives a lot more interest and intrigue in terms of conversation. And it kind of goes either way. And I'm not the one to always say that negative publicity is the best, but when you're like Zaslav, WB don't need no more. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's just real curious. I'm real curious that why you don't see the same people going to the same lengths of explanations of why they love and dislike Ben Affleck's rendition of the Batman. You don't see the same commitment to those videos as you would see for Matt Reeves, the Batman, and even against, because at least we'll know that they're still at the top of the discussion when it comes to the DC universe. And understandably so, why it wouldn't supersede the DCEU, because those other characters and Ben Affleck is all tied together in a world building thing that is comparable to what Disney has established with the MCU. So I'm not going to act like I don't know that. But what I do want to know is what you guys think. Do you think there's something to me questioning why we don't see the same level of care and attention towards what Matt Reeves is trying to build with the Batman universe? Why people are not as interested and intrigued as much? I mean, yeah, they're going to do a series on TV, but there's not as much high speculation and people talking and discussion, and you know, it's just interesting to me. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Maybe there is no interest in it because even though it was a good movie, it just doesn't have that kind of staying power in terms of the conversation. Or maybe the film wasn't as multi-layered as people would probably think. Not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, it's just a straightforward film that doesn't need any more elaboration on it. Maybe that's just what it is. But leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And let me know if has it even come across to you that you don't see people seeming to level the same amount of interest that kind of way. So leave it in the comments below. And as always, you already know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, time for the outro. Chill.